Now at 9, Joplin police are asking for the public's help to identify this burglar. Plus, if you still have some leftover holiday trash, we're going to tell you what can be recycled and what can't. And a Galena, Kansas business owner commissions a statue that will tower over the community.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. For many families, Christmas comes with gifts, and of course, gifts come with wrapping paper. Well, in Pittsburgh, SEK Recycling offers residents from the 4 states the opportunity to recycle materials that would otherwise go to the landfill. KOAM's Fernandez Silva shows us how to tell the difference between recyclable wrapping papers and those that can't be recycled.
Christmas time is very, very busy around here. Usually starts a week or 2 before Christmas gets here, and then afterwards, as you see, we start getting a giant influx of wrapping paper, cardboard galore.
Cassandra Steinbrook is the operation manager at SEK Recycling. For her, ensuring wrapping papers are recycled is a way to help the community.
Well, we get so much of it this time of the year, and it would just be sad to just see it all go into the landfill. I mean, it's paper just like any other paper. There's just no reason to see it thrown away when it can be processed like a cereal box or a soda container.
There are 2 easy ways of knowing if your wrapping paper can be recycled or not. One of them is just by making a ball with it. If it stays like a ball, then it means it can be recycled. If it doesn't, then you cannot recycle it.
The other way is by tearing the paper. If you cannot tear it, then you cannot recycle it.
Very important to make sure that there's no ribbons on it, none of the string that people like to tie it up with, any of that plastic-based stuff that's not really paper isn't supposed to go in there because it doesn't get processed the same way.
In addition to wrapping paper, cardboard, white styrofoam, and bubble wrap are other items that can also be recycled. Even fake trees can be taken to SEK Recycling.
Those are basically metal and plastic, so those are completely recyclable. There's even more recyclables at this time of year, so of course we don't want it going to the landfill. We need to preserve that as long as possible.
A way to make sure the environment is as happy as you were when opening the gifts. In Pittsburgh, Fernandez Silva, KOAM News.
Now, to find links to information about the SEK Recycling Center and the Joplin Recycling Center, just go to the story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Joplin police have released the identity of a man who was killed during an officer-involved shooting incident on Christmas Eve. Police say they responded to a call about a suicidal man, 58-year-old James Fisher, in the Royal Heights neighborhood near St. Louis and Vandalia. During the incident, shots were fired from both sides. Fisher was shot and later died at the hospital. No officers were injured. It's not yet clear if Fisher's wound came from an officer or from himself. Joplin Medical Clinic is offering $1,000 to anyone who can identify a burglar who broke in on Christmas Eve. It happened early Sunday morning at Gardner Express Care at 1701 West 26th Street in Joplin. This surveillance video shows what authorities believe to be a male suspect breaking glass and entering the offices. Authorities say that person did steal some prescription medications. Now police are asking for the public's help in identifying that thief. Authorities in Webb City, Missouri questioned the timing of 2 car fires in the same driveway early this morning. Reports of the fires came in just after 4 a.m. Fire from one of the burning cars did damage to the siding on the garage, but no one was hurt. The Ottawa County, Oklahoma jail has been without water since Friday, and the sheriff's office there now says that's because they're replacing the jail's plumbing, replacing both the cold and hot water lines as well as the boiler with tankless water heaters. Officials say it's because of the high cost of repairing the lines in the past and having to regularly replace the boiler. A lot of people have called the jail regarding the water situation, but the sheriff's office says the state and inmates were all notified the water would be temporarily shut off. They expect the hot water to be back tomorrow. The owner of Gearhead Curios in Galena, Kansas wants to bring a new resident to the city. It's a 22-foot tall one. Aaron Perry hopes to replace a fiberglass giant of a statue known as Big A, the Texaco Man, and his business by sometime in 2024. After an initial down payment with the designer, Perry hopes a fundraiser will cover the rest of the cost in bringing this larger-than-life new resident to Galena. Perry says the appeal is nostalgia.
Nostalgic America. It's people travel for the Giants. Nostalgic America was famous for those Giants on road trips, advertising different places. And I want to say I've arrived, but it's kind of like I've arrived. I'm here. I'm going to have a Giant on Route 66 in the Jefferson Highway.
Enchanted Castle Studios fiberglass makes Giants from around the country, most notably Buck Adam of Buck Adams Cosmic Curios. That's on Route 66 in Tulsa. Coming up, if you're considering going for a dry January in 2024, we're going to look at some of the health benefits. Giving up alcohol for the first month of the new year is a popular decision for many Americans looking to make healthier choices in the year ahead. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos takes a look at the benefits of dry January.
As we approach the start of a new year, many Americans will be looking for a fresh start. For some, that means putting down the bottle and opting for a dry January. Abstaining from alcohol for the first month of the new year can have plenty of benefits for your health.
These are real improvements. People are reporting these within days or sometimes within a month.
Over the course of a month without alcohol, you can notice plenty of changes. In 2 to 3 days, toxins clear from the body. In 4 to 5 days, there can be a boost in mood and improvement in sleep. 10 days in, energy levels can increase. 2 weeks in, you may notice clearer skin. And by the end of the month, health benefits like lower blood sugar, cholesterol, and weight may be apparent. Doctors say the improvement in sleep quality is particularly beneficial.
That's a bigger and bigger recognized part of your overall health, contributing to high blood pressure and so many other aspects, including your cognitive health.
For those looking to go dry this January, there are more and more options to serve as a replacement. Non-alcoholic bars are popping up all over the country, and new drink options hitting the market offer complex flavors, just like cocktails that contain alcohol.
Grocery stores, liquor stores, convenience stores, we see non-alcohol beer, wine, and spirits at over $500 million. And they're growing double digits year over year. Like, that growth hasn't slowed.
According to Nielsen IQ, Generation Z and millennials in particular are turning to more sober options as they help promote a healthier lifestyle and are typically less expensive than alcoholic drinks. In New York, Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Seems patient care tends to get worse after a hospital is bought by a private equity firm. Yeah, a study from Harvard Medical Center indicates patients are more likely to fall, get new infections, and experience other forms of harm, even though the hospitals are performing fewer procedures and typically see younger and less disadvantaged patients. Researchers called those findings alarming because it suggests hospitals focus more on the bottom line rather than safety in many cases. Owning a pet can help offset some verbal issues that happen to older adults who live alone. A study in JAMA Network Open finds pet ownership slows the decline of verbal memory and verbal fluency. It might also slow cognitive decline. But for older adults who live with others, researchers say a pet did not provide the same benefits. Chloe is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later the Seneca Indians square off against Benton in the Neosho Holiday Classic. We'll have the highlights.
Well, it was a cold winter afternoon and an even colder evening. That pattern is going to continue. If you like the cold, then there you have it. We'll take a look at our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just west of Seneca, Missouri. This is actually an accurate representation of the entire 4 states across the board. Very calm and very, we're seeing some clouds, but you can't see that because it's pretty dark outside. We had a lot of snow, or not a lot, just a little bit of some flurries here and there, especially in Missouri. It was very widespread, but very light. However, it wasn't enough to stick to the ground. So as of right now, this could change, but our road conditions pretty much clear across the board, all within that green. But as you're traveling tonight, maybe you're going out early for your New Year's Eve plans, going out of town, make sure you're keeping that in mind, even if you're leaving early in the morning. Temperatures right now in the 30s, mid to upper 30s for some folks sticking into the lower 30s. Monette at 32, Cassville 33, Fort Scott and Pittsburgh, you're at 34, Parsons 35, as well as Chanute Yates Center 33 degrees. So a little on the cooler side, and we're all dipping down into the freezing, if not below freezing range. Heading into tonight, your low for Joplin tonight, 29 degrees. Pretty chilly outside. Will be calm. We won't have any chance for precipitation heading into tonight. Will be pretty clear on that front, but we're going to be cold. So as you head out and about early tomorrow morning, make sure you're bundling up, especially considering your feel-like temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. Chanute, when you wake up in the morning, it's going to feel like 25 degrees. So make sure you're layering, bundling up if you have that early morning commute to work in the morning. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, just like today, we'll see that chance for some sporadic flurries here and there. I say flurries because this isn't much in the way of accumulation, anywhere from a trace to a half an inch for the majority of the viewing area. Heading into Oklahoma as well as portions of Kansas, you really won't see much, if at all. Now, however, if you're going out of town, notice Kansas City, you could see a little bit more. So if you're heading into the city for your New Year's Eve plans, make sure you're keeping that aware. Speaking of New Year's, we'll see those temperatures in the lower 30s, upper 20s. As you head into 2024, we'll see those mid 20s. So make sure that your plans are indoors. And if not, if you have those fireworks planned outdoors, bundle up. I cannot reiterate that enough. Make sure that you are staying warm as you're heading outside. Here's a look at your forecast. Throughout the rest of the week, we'll see temperatures upper 30s, lower 40s. Before we warm up just a hair, not much, but hey, we'll take it, upper 40s by the end of next week.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad for the start of a brand new year. And welcome back, Chloe. Some of our viewers will recall that you helped fill in for us periodically in the past, most recently in the summer, and you're going to be here helping us out again for a few more days.
Absolutely, I can't wait.
We appreciate it. Thanks, Chloe.
Thank you.
Coming up, making a saving resolution.
So you want to bring in 2024 in style, but you don't want to break the bank, right? I'm Alexis McAdams. We'll have tips for that coming up next.
The FDA says it confirmed 82 cases of illnesses linked to lead contamination in recalled pouches of cinnamon applesauce. Majority of those impacted are very young, but also adults up to the age of 53 have been affected. The pouches were sold in the U.S. under the brands Winabana, Weiss, and Schnucks. An FDA official says the contamination might have been an intentional act, and those responsible will be held accountable. Frozen fish fillets that were sold at Whole Foods Market are being recalled due to an undeclared soy allergen. The recall applies to the 365 Whole Foods Market beer battered pollock and cod fillets. The fillets were sold nationwide between September 8th and December 22nd. The company says it has not received any reports of illnesses, but anyone who's had an allergy or severe sensitivity to soy runs the risk of having a serious allergic reaction. You probably want to ring in 2024 in style, of course, but you don't want to break the bank. Well, Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has tips on how to cut costs for your New Year's Eve celebrations.
The ball drop is a New Year's Eve staple, but what people don't want to see come down is the total in their bank account.
We would probably pay, I don't know, like $150 for dinner.
If it's something low key, you know, a couple $100.
As far as going out, they really be charging on the line, so I don't know. I'm probably going to do like a nice dinner and a nice nightcap at home.
A study by Eventbrite shows 53% of people surveyed say they still want to go out and celebrate, but are only willing to shell out $100 or less on New Year's Eve festivities.
The good news is that there are plenty of different events out there where you can stay under $100. And those include everything from holiday paint parties, holiday markets, winter concerts, sipping candle making classes. There are even disco parties, holiday cruises.
If you're looking to cut expenses, consider hosting a party at home or attending one at your family or friend's house. Going out to dinner but have drinks at home is also an option, or finding a package deal so you know how much you'll be spending up front.
My perfect New Year's Eve.
TV personalities Hannah Berner and Paige DeSorbo teaming up with Eventbrite, sharing a list of fun and affordable New Year's Eve events around the country.
We've curated a list that we're really proud of things that are really worth it for the girl
who is comfortable at home, and if she goes out, she wants to make sure it's really worth her time.
If you're looking to cut costs on New Year's Eve, you're not alone. 20% of Americans say they are looking to save money as their New Year's resolution. Reporting in New York City, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Up next, we're going to learn about the perplexing phenomenon captured in this photo of Saturn. Hey, check out this image from the Hubble Space Telescope. It captured mysterious ghostly shadows on Saturn's rings. The latest sightings of the so-called spokes that continue to baffle scientists. NASA says this is a composite photo. It was taken by Hubble in October as Saturn was about 850 million miles away or so. Astronomers have long known about the perplexing spokes on Saturn's rings, but over time observations have revealed that the number and appearance of the spokes can vary depending on Saturn's seasonal cycle. How about that? 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Part 2 of our look at the history of Red Oak 2 in Jasper County and how it's preserving the legacy of artist Lowell Davis. Plus, members of the Biden administration head to Mexico to speak with that country's president about the surge of migrants to the southern border.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. The creator of Red Oak 2 passed away in 2020. For the last 4 decades of Lowell Davis's life, he worked to build a town just off Route 66 based on memories, history, and art. As KOAM's Tanya Bach shows us, even though the artist died, the art project Davis started is still living and growing.
Animals just show up at Red Oak. They don't really, we don't know where they come from. They just show up and they make this their home.
Jeremy Morris may be talking about pets, but he might as well be referring to the people who've made Red Oak 2 their home. Residents who could have driven by, but instead are driven by the vision of the late artist Lowell Davis.
He would smoke his corncob pipe and adjust his ascot, and people from all over the world would come up on the porch, and every night after work I'd rush over there to see who was next, and Lowell would tell them stories of Red Oak or just about anything that was on his mind.
Those stories, Davis's art, and a brand new town filled with history helped Morris decide to purchase the parsonage and make the move to Red Oak 2. And he wasn't alone.
The first time I met Lowell Davis, it was on July 4th, 2004. We came and visited him at Red Oak 2, and it was hot and humid, and the last place I'd ever think of moving to.
Larry Cernick came back to visit later that year, and it just so happened several of the South End properties were for sale, including his future home, the Civil War house.
You know, this was the style back then. They had 2 front doors.
He also purchased the Dalton Gang childhood home that Davis doubled in size after saving it from a cattle pasture in Oklahoma. In the original house, Adeline Dalton raised at least 8 children by herself, including future lawmen and notorious outlaws. Speaking of outlaws, Davis's own home in Red Oak, the famous Bell Star House, is where, according to legend, the Bandit Queen of the West was born in Carthage, Missouri. Davis's widow still lives there today. One of the most commonly asked questions when people visit Red Oak 2 is, are the headstones real here in the graveyard? And the answer is yes, but there's only one person buried here, and that's Lowell himself.
So he created his own grave, and he wanted to be buried in the middle of his artwork. He said, Jeremy, I just got to make it from the porch to the hill, and that's what we did.
The other tombstones were donated to Red Oak from a monument company and had never been used. In fact, the entire foundation of the church is also made from headstones. Even after Davis's death in 2020, residents like Morris and Cernick continue to add to his dream.
So this cabin was owned by a man named George Hornback, and it was on the bluffs over the Spring River west of Carthage in a little place called Jasper Village.
The cabin, built in 1938, was used as the first Jasper County courthouse.
Lowell had always wanted to get that building. It was never available, though.
I'll feed you later, baby. He definitely had a plan of how he wanted this place to go, and he had a vision for what kind of community it should be.
A vision the residents and animals of Red Oak 2 are holding on. Reporting along Route 66, Tanya Bach, KOAM News.
Cernick is making big plans for the Red Oak 2 train station this spring. He's adding a locomotive with a wood tender, flat car, and a caboose. and smaller train sets for families to enjoy inside that station. Michigan Supreme Court today says it's keeping former President Donald Trump on that state's primary election ballot. In the decision, the court said the challenge to a state appeals court ruling was considered but denied because the justices were, quote, not persuaded that the questions presented should be reviewed by this court, end quote. Legal experts say the battle over Michigan's ballot could be revived if Donald Trump becomes the GOP presidential nominee.
The Michigan Supreme Court and the lower court in Michigan was fairly clear that this is just about the primary ballot. So expect this to come back for the general election.
Now, last week, a divided Colorado Supreme Court, citing the so-called insurrection clause, found Trump ineligible to be president because of his role in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. That ruling is likely to be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. The migrant crisis at the U.S. southern border is set to be a key issue for the 2024 presidential election. The Biden administration is ending the year with a key visit to Mexico to address it. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor has the latest from Washington.
As the largest migrant caravan of the year, an estimated 8,000, is on its way to the U.S. southern border, top Biden officials are in Mexico to urge Mexican President López Obrador to help drive down illegal border crossings. Migrant encounters at the U.S. border are reaching unprecedented numbers, with December on track to break the monthly record. The Biden administration is committed to expanding legal pathways for migrants, but says it needs more funding from Congress to do so.
It's about bad policy. If we would go back to the Trump policies of the wall, Title 42, and remain in Mexico, we would be in a different place on the border.
The president understands. He understands that we have to fix this immigration system. It has been broken for decades now.
Any funding for the border, as well as emergency aid for Ukraine and Israel, is on hold until Congress can agree on new immigration policy. Those negotiations resuming Wednesday, but any official vote is still far out.
I'm planning on staying at the negotiating table for however long it takes to get this done.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, migrants are hopeful this meeting between Mexico and the U.S. could push the White House to expand work permit eligibility to undocumented workers.
All we're asking you is for a permit to be legalized and to have a permit to work, to be out of the shadows.
The U.S. is hopeful the Mexican government can help deter illegal immigration by limiting travel across Mexico by train and bus, and also offering incentives to not cross the border. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
A bit later, how Americans spent their money this year.
Holiday spending is up, but this week, so are returns. I'm Mather Rivera in Washington with the latest on this year's consumer spending trends coming up.
Well, we've been walking in winter wonderland with the snowflakes today, and we'll continue to see that pattern in the next couple of days. Here's a look at our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just west of Seneca, Missouri. This is a great representation of the entire four-state area. It is very calm outside. We haven't seen much in the way of snowfall in the past hour or two. It has since pushed out of our area completely and leaving us with clearer roads. Now, we hadn't had any snowfall significant enough to leave any type of accumulation. We also had temperatures above freezing throughout the afternoon, so we haven't had to worry about that. However, it is something to keep in mind as you're heading into later tonight, early tomorrow morning, especially as those temperatures dip down. Now, right now, we're still above average except for Monette at 32, Miami 36, as well as Grove, Fort Scott 35, Iola, you're at 33 degrees, so we're just a hair, not really far away from that freezing range at 32 or below. But what will be cold is heading into tonight. Our low in Joplin, 29 degrees, so we'll be well below freezing. Heading into tonight, we'll be about 35 degrees by 10 a.m., so not warming up by much heading into the mid-morning hours. With that, our feel-like temperatures in the mid to upper 20s for the majority of us. So if you have that early morning commute to work, here's what it's going to look like. 5:30. Nevada, you're going to feel like 31 degrees. As you head a little further west, we'll see those temperatures even cooler. Fredonia feeling like 24, as well as Yates Center, Independence. You're at 25 degrees is what it's going to feel like. So make sure you're bundling up and staying aware of that, getting those layers as quickly and as much as you possibly can into the morning. Now, Thursday and Friday, we saw a couple flurries today, but above all, Thursday evening into Friday morning, we'll see the greatest chance for some flurries once again. This won't leave us in the way of much of accumulation. Once again, anywhere from a trace to a half inch here and there, but not as likely as some of our folks a little further up north. This could be anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. So I point this out because if you have any plans going outside of your area, if you're going towards the city for your New Year's Eve plans, make sure you're staying aware of that heading into Thursday and Friday morning especially. Now, bringing in the new year, Sunday night, it's the big night, is where we bring in 2024, so we'll be in the 20s when that happens. So make sure that you're staying indoors or bundling up. If you are down for fireworks that night and you need to be outside, layer up. Make sure you're staying warm. Keep the kiddos warm as well if they get to stay up for the new year. Now, here's a look at your forecast. We'll see temperatures upper 30s, lower 40s, except Saturday will warm up. That sun will be peeking out quite a bit. We'll see a break from the precip. And then heading into Monday, we'll be in the upper 30s, and then we'll warm up into the upper 40s heading into the rest of next week. A little bit of precip, but really nothing too much.
No. We actually haven't had a lot of precipitation, so even a little bit is a good thing, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chloe, thanks. Coming up in sports, the 2023 Neosho Holiday Classic tips off today. Several local teams play against opponents from across 5 states. John Dales has scores and highlights. That's up next in sports.
Welcome into sports, and today we begin the 2023 Neosho Holiday Classic. This basketball tournament featuring teams from 5 different states: Missouri, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas. Now the boys tournament featuring 2 brackets: McDonald County along with Seneca in the black bracket, and the Mustangs fall to Huntsville in their opener of this tournament, 54-45. They play in the losers bracket tomorrow morning at 11:30. Meanwhile, Seneca boys basketball taking on Benton, an opponent from St. Joseph, Missouri. In that contest, Miles Bacali of Benton lays it up and in for the early bucket in the first quarter. It's 3-1 Benton at that point. Gavin Hoover on the other side with the response for Seneca. That makes it 5-3, Indians leading. Then Benton Zach Smith tosses one up and in. Still in the first now, Bacali again for Benton makes just a 1-point Indian lead. Then at the buzzer of the first quarter, Zane Grotjon with the half-court shot. We go ahead to the second now. 13-15 Seneca. Taylor McDowell with the open shot. Then another one for McDowell. Up by 2 for Benton. On the other side, Seneca responds. That's a tie game after that shot, but then back in front for the visitors. Benton with a shot up there. That's 2 for Mac Mayhem. Then Roman Miller with another jumper. Just before the end of the second half now, pretty similar to the end of the first quarter. Half-court shot up and good again from Grotjon. Seneca with the lead at halftime, but after a back-and-forth second half, Benton takes this one in the final second. Seneca falls by 2. It will play Bentonville West JV tomorrow. One more game in the boys' side in the black bracket. The host school, Neosho, facing Westwood, another Memphis school. Game at 7 o'clock this evening. The Wildcats win. They move on to face Huntsville in the semifinal in the winners bracket. That would be at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. We'll have more coverage on this side of the tournament as the week progresses. Meanwhile, over to the girls' side of the tournament, Seneca girls basketball playing the first game of its tournament this afternoon, and The Lady Indians fall to Whitehaven, Memphis High School here in the 4 states for the next couple of days. Blowout in that one, 57-11. Lady Indians try and right the ship tomorrow. They face Huntsville, an Arkansas opponent who fell to Lafayette this afternoon. And lastly, Neosho girls basketball loses a very close one against Crooked Oak High School from Oklahoma City tonight. Final score in that one, just a 3-point game, 53-50. Neosho falls in the last minute. Tough showing from a lot of our local teams in the opening round of the tournament. Still plenty of basketball left to be played, though, over the next few days. Lady Wildcats will play again tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. They face the loser of Hillcrest and Bluff City. That's a look at sports. We're back after this.
New consumer spending numbers show U.S. retail sales rose this past year. Madeline Rivera breaks down what shoppers are spending their money on.
In 2023, holiday shopping was back, returning to pre-pandemic consumer spending levels, according to the latest economic data.
We got some Sephora stuff. Didn't realize how expensive that would be.
The 3.1% increase in spending revealing what Americans are buying. Grocery purchases were up, as were clothing items, both rising more than 2% compared to last year. Americans also spent more on restaurants, up nearly 8% year over year.
My favorite present was a gift card to Nordstrom.
But with a record-breaking shopping season, experts warn of the potential for record-breaking returns, particularly with added economic pressures, including inflation and the return to student loans. The New York Fed earlier this year found credit card debt topped $1 trillion for the first time ever, rising nearly 5% from 2023's second to third quarter.
Return to Louis Vuitton, keep all, luggage back.
But some retailers are cracking down on those refunds. An estimated 40% of stores reporting they now charge for online returns, up 31% from last year.
There's a lot more cost involved with a return than simply just the freight cost if you're shipping it back. It's the handling cost. You got to get the item prepared. Maybe you need to clean it. You need to retag it. In some cases, it's not saleable again, so we need to discard it.
But it's not just shoppers feeling the pinch. Even with this year's increase in sales, consumer spending didn't quite meet expectations and was down more than 0.5% for this year's expected growth.
The holiday spending season isn't over. These next several days with stores promoting year-end deals are among retailers' busiest yet. In Washington, Mather Rivera, Fox News.
Amazon Prime customers can mark January 29th on their calendars for when they're going to begin to see ads while watching their favorite shows and movies. Amazon says the ads will allow them to, quote, continue investing in compelling content and keep increasing that investment over a long period of time. Customers do have the option of paying an additional $2.99 per month if they want to continue to watch Prime Video without seeing those commercials. Coming up, we're going to look back at the top entertainment stories of the past year. It was a year when Hollywood shut down. A movie about a toy took over the box office, and music superstars put global tours on the big screen. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with a look at the 2023 year in entertainment.
A double feature phenomenon, an era of swift and a historic strike. A Hollywood double strike shut down the industry for months, with writers and actors on the picket lines. WGA went on strike May 2nd. SAG-AFTRA joined them July 14th. It was the first time in more than 60 years both guilds were on strike together. The unions were negotiating contracts with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. Issues at hand included wage increases, streaming residuals, and protections over artificial intelligence. WGA reached a deal September 27th. The SAG-AFTRA strike ended November 9th with its deal officially ratified December 5th.
Let's go recruit some scientists.
A couple of the last films to have promotional activities prior to the strike became the double feature phenomenon of the summer, Barbie and Oppenheimer, aka Barbenheimer. A trend on social media to see the two films back to back added to the box office success of both.
When my heart breaks,
Barbie, led by Margot Robbie and directed by Greta Gerwig, went on to become the biggest movie of the year. It topped $1.4 billion globally. Gerwig became the first solo female director to have a billion-dollar film.
Very busy today, no time to help you.
At the Oscars, multiverse sci-fi adventure Everything Everywhere All at Once took Best Picture. Its lead, Michelle Yeoh, became the first Asian woman to win Best Actress. At the Grammys, Beyoncé added 4 more trophies to her collection. It brought her total to 32, and she broke the record for the artist with the most Grammy wins ever. Britney Spears told her story in her memoir, The Woman in Me. The book became a bestseller with 1.1 million copies sold in its first week. In celebrity legal news, Gwyneth Paltrow won in court after an 8-day live-stream trial over a ski accident in Utah in 2016. A retired optometrist claimed the accident led to traumatic brain injury. He sued for more than $300,000 in damages. A jury found the movie star not at fault, and she was awarded her symbolic $1 in economic damages. Singer-songwriter Ed Sheeran was sued for copyright infringement by heirs of late songwriter Ed Townsend, who co-wrote Marvin Gaye's 1973 classic Let's Get It On. They claimed Sheeran's Thinking Out Loud had striking similarities. Sheeran's attorneys argued the tunes share frequently used versions of unprotectable chord progression. A jury ruled in Sheeran's favor.
I was going to break up with Ariana regardless.
A reality TV scandal was all the talk when it was revealed Vanderpump Rules star Tom Sandoval cheated on longtime girlfriend Ariana Madix with her friend and their co-star Raquel Leviss. It became famously known as Scandoval.
Reality holds no power.
Big tours premiered on the big screen. Beyoncé's Renaissance Tour, which grossed $580 million, was released in theaters December 1st. Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, which made more than $1 billion, was in theaters October 13th, and it became the highest-grossing concert film ever in the U.S. The superstar also had fans sharing their joy over personal news this year when she went public with her high-profile relationship with Kansas City Chiefs Travis Kelce. Swifties celebrated the release of 1989 Taylor's version, helping her earn the Spotify title of artist with the most streams in a single day.
Taylor Swift then rounded out 2023 with another title. She was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with more video of Red Oak 2. Let's make it a great tomorrow.